Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Roll Down podcast, episode 14. Can you believe we've made 14 episodes of this fucking thing? I can't. And I'm here with my co host, a man who has, 140 episodes of knowledge left, but maybe not 140 episodes of patience. Sol, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Good to be here. Good to be here as always.
Fantastic. Guys, we have a special episode today. They're all special. We love every episode equally, but this one is near and dear to our hearts. We've got an absolute legend of the OC community joining us. And I say legend, some people think, oh man, this guy, he must be perpetual rank one, the most incredible TFT player. No, this man is a legend because he almost single-handedly carries or has carried and will continue to carry the OCE tournament scene on his back. Tycoon, welcome to the podcast. It is a pleasure to have you.
Thanks. Thanks for the intro. Thanks for having me.
We like to start off these episodes by getting to know a little bit about our guests, discussing where they came from, why they're invested in TFT, and there's a lot to break down when it comes to you because there is a lot of content that you are responsible for that I'd also love to know about. So first I'd like to know how you got into TFT, and then I'd like to know how you got into creating TFT tournaments and working on TFT events and things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Well, I started TFT in set one. Like with a lot of players, I guess, played League of Legends, so when TFT came out, got straight onto it. Yeah, I don't know. I just pretty much started there. I hit Diamond in the first season. Season two, I was Master slash Grandmaster. There wasn't enough players in Grandmaster back then, so if you hit Master, you got Grandmaster for free. That was a long time ago with all the spaghetti kernel ranks.
I remember those days. Yeah, I
they
remember
fixed
those
that. Yeah. And then from set three was pretty much where I got competitive. So I peaked rank 5 at like 1,000 and something LP in set three. Competed in the first regional event that was run by the other people. I can't remember the name of the company that ran it. And then pretty much just been hitting Challenger every set since then. I usually just try to hit it, don't try to maintain high rank or anything, but yeah, just enjoy playing the game. So like everyone else, I guess.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And I mean, you wouldn't be here if you didn't love the game. What I want to know from you sort of now is where you got the interest and the desire to start working on and creating TFT events for the community. Where did that sort of want pop up in your life?
Well, it was actually suggested by someone else on the competitive TFT subreddit. Some guy was like, "Oh, I want to run tournaments in OC. Does anyone want to help me?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll do it." Turned out he didn't want to really do it, and it just ended up me being the whole thing. But that was fine. it was short lived with him, but yeah, we moved on, and yeah, I started running Friday Fiesta at the start of 2020. It was pretty much right when COVID came, like started hitting big. Lost my job and everything, so I was just kind of sitting at home playing TFT every day. And yeah, I was like, well, if I'm sitting here, I may as well run some tournaments, try to make it more competitive. By the end of set three, I was doing tournaments every week, Friday Fiesta every week, trying to improve it. Ran my own little championship, and then pretty much during the in between set three and set four, I contacted one of the people at Riot. Well, I didn't really contact them. I more like just saw a thread of theirs on the competitive TFT subreddit and commented and said, "Hey, I run tournaments. Let me run regionals." And they pretty much put me in contact with another person that put me in contact with the order. That was kind of in the bidding to run regionals. So then I just joined up with them, and yeah, I've just been running regionals since pretty much.
Brilliant. That's fantastic.
So cool.
Talk to me a little bit about Order. Order has the basically the contract, I guess, through set 8. So we're going to be seeing a lot of Order regional events, MSI, cups, different kind of cups and things all through Order. Tell me about what the sort of the like what it's like working on a tournament, working on an event. Is it a stressful experience? Is it an enjoyable experience? Talk to me a little bit about that process.
Well, on the day, it's definitely very stressful, especially for the open qualifiers when you've got our most recent one, our biggest one yet. We had 240 players. So it's kind of got to the point where we're realizing like having a bit of scaling issues. So I need to get other people to come in and actually help me do things like scoring because there's just so many people. But before the tournaments, like it's all pretty straightforward now. I've got everything down to like a method of how I like will create the tournament, how I make everything like flow together, and a lot of the stuff I can just kind of bring over from old formats and stuff like that. And anything that we notice that we can like improve on and stuff, we just kind of tweak that old format and just kind of keep recreating it to improve it each set, I guess. Like we always make small changes every set, whether people notice them or not, they're always there.
Yeah, I mean, I have competed in only one TFT tournament in my life, mostly because they occur on weekends when I don't like using my computer. And that might be
fair
weird
enough.
to a lot of people who are listening to this podcast, thinking that we're all a bunch of big nerds, but it's not always the case. Sometimes we cannot do Friday and Saturday evenings in general. I will say what what is really interesting about the events is that the very first couple I remember watching when I was first getting into TFT were very uh I mean, I don't mean this in a negative way, but they were very slow. There was a significant breaks between rounds and things like that. Now, I mean, it feels like a well-oiled machine. Do you think that you guys have sort of nailed down a little bit of a format on how to make everything fit together and these kind of things sort of sped up a little bit?
Yeah, the main thing is having like sub players to kind of sub in if we
Mm.
get the chance, because the pretty much what causes everything to slow down, especially with your open qualifiers, is if one lobby starts later because we're doing the seeding for the next round when that lobby finishes. So essentially you've got to wait for all the lobbies to be able to finish before you can generate the next one. So all these other people that started 10 minutes late earlier, they then finished 10 minutes earlier and they're just sitting there waiting for this last lobby to finish. So having like a queue and stuff for substitutes to come in, that makes it a lot better. And we've been a lot I've been a lot more active on finding like substitute players and setting them up before we get to the next rounds and whatnot, or rather when people get eliminated.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? Sol, I'm sure you've got plenty of questions about events and things like that. Tycoon, but I know we sort of talk about this on all of our podcasts, but and those of us who listen regularly will know that both Sol and I come from a competitive card game background, so we're very used to tournaments. We're very used to the tournament format and how
What
it's
card
set
game
out.
though?
I come from a Pokemon background, and Sol comes from a
Okay.
Magic background.
See, I was more of a Yu-Gi-Oh player.
Oh, okay. We've
Oh, I
got the
played Yu-Gi-Oh
holy,
too.
we got the
Yeah,
holy
yeah.
trio
I played a bit of
here.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Played a few
Yeah.
YCSs.
We got
Yeah,
the
Yeah, I
holy.
went to a couple of YCSs.
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. So if we only get a My Little Pony and a Netrunner player, we'll have everybody all together, I think, and a Dragon Ball Z card game player or something. So we're very familiar with the tournament format, and something that we discussed sort of in depth last week, and we have actually been discussing quite frequently recently, is the improvement, quote unquote, of TFT events. I'm wondering if you think that there's a future in long form TFT weekly events, a bit like your Friday Fiesta, but that rotate throughout a whole competitive season.
So it kind of works, but it's hard to find people to commit to it.
Yeah.
So you've got to find a way to solve the problem of half your people not showing up each week, because
Yep.
it was the or one of the unis in Western Australia. I can't remember it. I could find it if you really wanted to. But they ran a league essentially last set. And yeah, their issue was pretty much half their players just weren't showing up each week. Like it was a uni club thing, but they still opened it up to all unis, so any uni could compete essentially. But yeah, it's just the people not showing up, and I think Summoner Society at the moment is also running one, which is Tuesday nights. I've been playing in it. I think they're pretty much having the same issue. I've tried reading their rules. I didn't really understand it. Um, I think they have a way around it, but it's probably better to ask them about it because I don't. I read their rules and I was like, huh. So the issue just comes down to people not committing, like not showing up, and you've got to find a way to get around that, or have substitutes or I don't know something. The fact that TFT has no custom lobbies kind of hurts us a lot.
Yeah, that's interesting, and we'll definitely get on to like optimizing TFT in the future. I think that there's a really interesting discussion to be had there. But I want to talk a little bit more about yourself specifically. You find the time not only to run all these events, but as you just said, you play quite a significant amount of TFT. You play weekly. I mean, you try to maintain challenger every set. That's very impressive. Um, what is it about TFT that's so engrossing to you, you think?
Um, it feels like it's got a lot of skill expression. And I'm also very boomer, so I can't play the fast action games.
Same.
But yeah, I suck at shooters. But yeah, no, I don't know. I just love the game. Like I've always been a fan of card games, like Hearthstone, Yu-Gi-Oh, things like that. And TFT is pretty much just like another card game. It's got a bit more to it, obviously, but um, yeah, just love the game style, love the pace of it. Don't have to break my wrists or anything to get good at it. Um, yeah, it's chill. I feel like TFT is just chill to get high ranking in.
What I've always said is that TFT doesn't break your brain, it breaks your heart. And
Yeah,
I
Well
feel
said.
similarly about that as I have ever since I started playing this game in set 2.
definitely feels like it breaks your mental
Yeah,
sometimes.
it definitely does. I want to talk about that mentality point of view because we're coming up on a very big TFT event that we'll get into very soon. But I want to talk about the sort of tournament preparation. We've had a lot of competitive players on in the past few weeks, in the past few months, even since we started, and they all talk about preparation for tournaments and things like that. Do you find that there's a significant um, difference in, let's say, people who you speak to or who you have spoken to who say, man, I prepared really hard for this event, or I didn't actually do all that much preparation, I just kind of showed up on the day? We've met plenty of people like both of these people before. Do you think that applies for TFT as well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it comes down to like it's the same thing as people that like study for the exam slash people that don't and cram it in at the last minute. It works for some people, doesn't work for everyone, right? Um, I definitely have to play a lot more over a longer period of time for me to climb. I can't just like jump in and play like 20 games and climb like 300 LP or something. Like I'll just slowly get there the whole way over the set, just slowly getting better.
Yeah. Um, Sol, I mean, have you got any questions for Tycoon around the sort of the tournament structure, the format, anything like that?
Yeah. I can definitely think of something. A little on the spot, but I mean, I think like, what would be the way to put it? I think like the biggest one that like comes to mind is probably to do with because I've talked about it a bit already on the pod. It's to do with sort of sample size for tournaments, right? I think that's been sort of almost a sort of hotly debated topic in the community as to like, is 5 games really enough? You know, like there was a recent controversy with Remkev where I think it's like he didn't make day 3 or something, or day 2 of what, basically he couldn't advance to one of the days of the Open Cup despite not bot foring a single lobby, simply because the scores reset and the sample size was also just very, very small. So I guess just a very general question on just like, what are your thoughts on sort of the current state of, you know, the amount of games that people like, you know, that we're playing in tourneys, whether you think, you know, we would do better with more, whether, you know, you're happy with it, or maybe, you know, things like that basically.
Yeah. So with this one, it's obviously a bigger one to go through, but I think 5 to 6 games is pretty much ideal. I don't think you should really go under 5 ever, because that is just way too small of a sample size. Like you said, it's just four games and getting knocked out, just or even 3. Like it's not enough games.
Yeah,
Maybe in a
exactly.
for fun tournament, absolutely, but in a bigger tournament, 5 to 6, my main gripe between 5 and 6 games is you often get into a place where there'll be someone that's so far behind, even if they went first place, they can't proceed any further. So in that last game, there's no real reason for them to play at all.
Right, yeah.
A lot of them still do, but you can tell a lot of people give up, which is like it just makes that last game quality a lot worse. And it's not really contributing to the scores because it's like you've got people inting, people that have given up type thing because they don't need to play that game. So someone's farming a free first, pretty much, which I don't think should impact your overall standings. But at the same time, 5 games kind of comes a little bit into not too many games, because there's definitely people at the end of 5 games that could make it if they played another game. So it's hard to say. But for more consistent events, I try to tweak the scoring, so have more even scoring and more games. If we're going 5 games, that's when you'll usually like the 10 points for first and then 8 points for second, etc. Whereas like the MSI that's coming up, it's a very straightforward format. It's just a straight 6 games. The lobbies will be changed every round with some seeding, but it's pretty much just 6 games. Points coming in, 8 points for first, 1 point for last, and you just keep going. And the bottom 8 players gets cut each day. So you'll have a lower average that you need to make it to day 2, and then a higher average placement that you'll need to make it to day 3. Just kind of rewarding consistency, I guess.
Yeah, so it's actually so interesting for me to hear. Yeah, so it's like it's more. I mean, like some of the problems that we're seeing almost has like as much to do with the way that it's actually scored rather than just like the amount of games that are played. Is that sort of right on the is that sort of on the ballpark? Or
Yeah, well, you can't just keep the same scoring for everything. Pretty much, you've got to change it up based on what you're doing. Like especially with things like checkmate format, that's a controversial one, but Worlds does it, so we've got to have it. Yeah, it's you've got to keep in mind pretty much everything when making a tournament, like how many players you have, how many days it goes for. Like there's a lot of different factors you have to kind of take into consideration when making a format. So yeah, it can change a lot, but yeah, I think 5 to 6 games for pretty much any format is ideal.
Okay, sweet.
Brilliant. That's really interesting. I don't want you to be like, you don't have to answer this question. It's more hypothetical than anything. I just want to say, is there anything do you think that there's things in the works to reformat, to work on? I imagine that Riot are very much speaking with competitive players, working on these tournaments, trying to make them as good as they possibly can. Is there anything that you can sort of say about the change in TFT tournaments that we may see, or anything that maybe even personally you'd like to see in the future?
I would like to see spectator mode. I mean, yeah, technically we've got it.
Yeah, I was about to say technically we have it, sort of, kind of. Yeah,
it's all right. Yeah. I would like to see more placements going into Worlds itself. Is my biggest thing I would like to see. It's really unfair to the regions that are getting 1 person go into Worlds, like us, Japan, etc. Like I understand the bigger regions have more players, but that's already an advantage to them, so I don't really understand why they get more advantage to send more players. But like format wise, I mean, it's still evolving. Like you can see it happening over in NA as well. Like everyone's just adapting as things change, trying to improve stuff. Like it's an 8-person free for all is a very hard thing to actually score. It's such an awkward format to build things for, especially when you had then like multiplying it by multiple lobbies. It would be a lot easier if it was like a 2v2, for example, but it is what it is, and we've got to make it work. So there will always be small changes, but yeah, I don't know. Let us send more people to Worlds, make it be a bigger event with more players. That's probably my main thing I want to see changed in the whole larger format.
Oh, absolutely. We're big advocates for that kind of thing. I mean, at this point, we've earned it. You know what I mean? The players that we've sent to Worlds in the last few sets have been incredible, done incredibly well, done great things.
Yeah.
I think the next person, the next 3 people, the next 10 people that we send to Worlds will all do great things. It's about time that we're recognized for that. And to be honest, every server that has the same problem should feel the exact same way. They all deserve it equally. We've seen some great performances from so many different players on so many different events and servers all across the world that the TFT is getting bigger. It's a big game. So many
Yeah.
people love it. So many people want to play it. There's only more effort going into the creation of the game, the development of the game, the tournament aspect of the game. So, I mean, the player base of the biggest event should probably affect that and reflect that in some way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
just like to finally point out before we move on, as we always discuss this, justice for Southeast Asia. If you are a Southeast Asian player, you deserve representation on the world stage. You are part of
Yep.
Oceania, and we want you to play.
Yeah, we've tried, or Order as well has tried putting forward that we could run it, but it's pretty much just always a no from Riot. I still don't know why they can't exactly do it. I've heard rumors and stuff, but there's no news on SEA competing anytime soon that I'm aware of.
And we will keep trying to do what we can to get that as visible as possible and hopefully change their mind one day.
Yeah.
Just have to keep nagging. Just
Yeah.
have to keep nagging.
We have to keep talking
I mean,
about it.
eventually Riot has to acknowledge us, right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the thing is from what I know, I think it's from talking to is it Keith? I'm pretty sure it's from. I try to remember who I talked to with this conversation. I'm pretty sure it's from talking to Keith. Kajals. It's partly Riot's fault, but it's also just partly to do with the region itself, just because SEA is just so many different countries all together in the region, and a part of the issue has to do with just no one from there really being interested in really cooperating with Riot. So it's sort of just
Yeah, I think it's got something to
on
do with
two ends.
Garena and whatnot as
It's
well.
to do with Garena, that's the one. Yeah, it's to
Yeah.
do with Garena. Yeah. So it's just this. It's a bit of a mess, a bit of a complicated issue, but I mean,
Hopefully they can get it sorted. It would be really good to have SEA at Worlds, especially considering
Absolutely.
the caliber of players that they've got. They don't have a huge player base, but they've got some really good players.
oh for sure, absolutely. Like yeah, I think we all know that. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it's time that we get into the meat and potatoes of this podcast and what we're going to be discussing today, and that is, of course, the upcoming MSI. I'm first going to frame this around the fact that we've just had an MSI, a North American MSI, and that's where we're going to start. I'm going to start with you, Sol. It's just finished a couple of days ago as of recording. There were some very interesting results, and I want to sort of talk to you about those results in of itself. Did you see anything from this tournament that excited you for this coming weekend's MSI?
That is kind of established at this point, to be honest. So I kind of saw a lot of what I've already been seeing. It's just I saw a lot that I was already expecting to see, right? You see a lot of, especially like in a region like NA, that's very well known for playing just strongest board, very consistent, very stable. Strongest board, fast A, roll down, play around full cost is very very typical in NA. So didn't really see too much in the way of reinventing the wheel. So yeah, you see a lot of just playing around full costs. Nothing too much in terms of like reroll. There's like a little bit of reroll, but not too much of it. So yeah, it's just very like standard, I guess. So I'm always saying I'm not that excited going into this set, only because I've seen a lot of these comps already before.
And at this point, the set is very much known. We're at the very end of the cycle of the set. What is exciting, however, is the players. And Tycoon, I want to ask you this question specifically. What makes an interesting TFT event to you?
Interesting TFT event. I mean, I find most of them interesting, I guess. Like, I pretty much watch every tournament I run. I guess the more interesting ones is, I hate to say it, but like the checkmate format games, they do have me a lot more on the edge of my seat. When it is coming down to those like last two games. I guess that's probably my most like more interesting. Once like I've watched a lot of tournaments. Like I've run a lot of tournaments. I've watched a lot of tournaments. Watching like 6 games in a row, like by like game 4, I'm just kind of chairs fully reclined, not really paying much attention to the game, just waiting for the scores to come in. So, checkmate format, I guess, being a little bit quicker, having a bit more hype to it does make it a bit more interesting for me.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think It is very exciting. We've discussed this quite in depth on the podcast about how it's exciting, but is it perfect? Is there even a way to
Absolutely
make it?
not.
Is there even a way to
Yeah.
change the checkmate format to be perfect? You mentioned earlier that 2v2 would be an easier seeding method for you. Why do you think that is?
2v2. I just meant like straight 2v2, not in like duo,
Yeah.
double up.
Yeah. Yep.
Just because it's like it's just easier because you can give people like buys and stuff, right? You can't really give people a buy in TFT. So if there's players missing and stuff, like if you've got one person missing in a lobby at TFT, you can't play that game until you find someone to replace it. And giving 7 people a buy, like how much points do you give each person type thing? And then someone's going to be knocked out because they took the buy and it wasn't enough points, and then so I kind of lost my train of thought a bit, but yeah, it just less players in a lobby would be ideal, but it's not really possible, obviously.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, even if that person can't participate, surely having a, I don't know, even like some sort of dummy account just in there as an automatic 8th place would even liven things up just slightly.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much what we do. It's in our rules. If we can't find someone to substitute in, so like someone that's got knocked out to replace the person that's just gone AFK into the next round, we do have that backup of putting an admin account, or usually my account, just logs in and just full AFKs in it.
I have heard stories.
Yeah, it's not something I like
Yeah.
to do. Like it's pretty much last resort. I've had to do it less than like 2-3 times.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, it's not something that happens
yeah.
often.
Yeah.
Yeah, fascinating. Let's keep talking about MSI because what do you think we can expect in terms of the player base? We have some incredibly strong Oceanic TFT players. I mean, I just ask you straight up who your favorite is for the event.
After the event, I mean Andy's playing in it, so he makes my spreadsheets for the tournament. So I gotta back Andy for the night. Who else? I think Tamura 77's looking pretty good. Chunga showing a lot of strength on the ladder at the moment. Did really well in the Challenger series. Like really, like yeah, he almost took it out in 3 games. If he didn't blow that 3rd game, it would have been gone in 3. Like,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was wild. Who else is on there? There's a lot of new names on there. Because I don't think we've had Kadei, Adior from Swanson. Yeah, there's a couple of new names on there, so it'll be
New ones, yeah.
interesting. Because there's a lot of wild cards in there from the cups, essentially, especially the ones from the first cup, the Innovator Cup, that was quite a while ago now. Most of them, you can see them on the ladder. Snapshots are still quite high, but there is a few that are like pretty far down on the ladder snapshots, which means they haven't been actively playing, or might not be actively playing on their main accounts. So, but yeah, you can really see that there is a lot of people in there with a much bigger LP difference compared to the others. So, this tournament rewards consistency. So I think those players that are quite highly ranked, especially on the ladder snapshots, because that's like more over the course of the series, they're probably going to be the ones making it to regionals with those 8 spots up for grabs.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to sort of, before we look ahead to regionals, I want to ask, having these mid-season events just before the end of a set, aka we're basically a week out from set 6.5 or so. Is there ever any thought to saying that set 6 is over? Maybe we should pick this up again in set 6.5? Or is MSI seen from, I guess, a tournament organizer perspective, or maybe even a Riot perspective, as a really nice way to send off a set that's leaving?
Well, it's the finale of the set, so
Yeah.
it's at the end of the set. One bigger thing to keep in mind with these tournaments near the end of sets too is the patches are more figured out. Riot intentionally does less changes within these last couple of weeks of each set, to not like upset the meta that much, to make it so that these tournaments especially don't have like bugs and stuff like that. But so they have more like set metas and like everyone kind of knows what they're doing already to, I guess, increase skill expression, rather than just kind of playing random stuff like you are at the start of a set. Like, yeah, I think the end of the set is always pretty much the best for it. In the second half of the set, it's a little bit earlier, but that's just because we need to give them time to actually run worlds and stuff, which comes like a month later after regionals or 2-3 weeks later after regionals.
Yeah, interesting. Very, very interesting. That's not something that I considered actually. I want to ask you a little bit about 6.5. Have you been playing all that much on the PBE?
I actually don't play PBE. I don't like I don't like spoiling the sets for myself
Why is
before
that?
they're actually out. I prefer to play it when it's like it's all new, it's all crisp. I can play it on live, a lot less bugs, a lot less lag. I just don't like enjoying the experience of the new set on beta realms. That's pretty much it. I'll watch a couple of videos like every
Yep.
now and then, but pretty much I'm not going to look at any 6.5 content until it comes out.
Fascinating. You're not the only person that's like that, no doubt. There certainly are people that don't like the set spoiled for them in any way, and I think that that's really it's really fascinating, really interesting. Let's sort of talk about the final bit of information about this tournament, which is of course the top 8 going through to regionals, and that is going to be coming up, I guess, what, like you said, 3 or 4 weeks before the World Championships. So is that correct? A couple of weeks before, usually a month before?
Oh, as in when regionals is?
Yeah.
So regionals is on the 1st and 3rd, and worlds should be like usually I think it's 2 or 3 weeks after that. Yeah. I don't know if I have an exact date for it or not, and I don't know if I'm even allowed to share that date if I did have it. So
Okay, we're
No,
good. We don't want you to get in any
I'm
trouble.
not going to comment on it just because I don't know if
Yep.
I'm allowed to.
No,
Definitely wouldn't
no.
want you to get in any
I
trouble.
mean, if you've done anything to do with TFT and Riot, you'd know that they follow the exact same timing schedule for literally everything, as in when their sets come out, when their patches come out. You can draw a straight line. You can figure out when the championship will be.
All right, guys. So everybody, get your calendars out and check when the last regionals was, and just assume it'll be on the exact same date, roughly.
Yeah, it probably is, to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised.
That's a good way to do it. That's a great way to do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, their sets are exactly 6 months long, so it makes it very easy for me to plan stuff. I always double check the dates for the patches with Riot, but yeah, I guess them all, and then I just get them to confirm it like 3 weeks later when they respond to me.
Talk to me about set
great.
6 a little bit. Now that we're at the end of it, is this a set that you've enjoyed? The augments, the changes in basically they've changed a lot of system stuff. They've completely reworked a whole bunch of things during this time. Is it something you've enjoyed generally? Would you put it as up there as like a set favorite of yours, as someone who's played for a long time?
It's not my favorite, that's for sure. It's not bad. I'm not like, I do play it. It's not bad. I'm not a huge fan of arguments though. I can't wait for them to be gone. I hate the variance in my opener, and like looking at my opener compared to someone else's, and it's like even before the set, you're like, oh, my opener's bad. You look at everyone else, and you're like, oh, they're kind of cracked. This set, it's like, oh, my argument and my opener's bad, and you look at someone else's board, and you're like, I'm getting 5-0'd every single round. Like,
Good old
yeah.
man. Everything's
Whereas-
2-starred.
yeah. But whereas every other set, you kind of on more of an even ground, like with your Chosens. What else was there? The Galaxies. What was set 5? I don't even remember set 5 anymore.
5 was Shadow
Oh,
Islands.
Shadow
Shadow
Islands.
and
Yeah, yeah, look, it's not.
5.5 was
It's
probably
not
the
better
most.
than. It's better than Shadow Items, that's for sure.
I was gonna say 5.5 was probably the most like least
5.5
like
is good.
variance in openers. I would say 5.5. So
Yeah.
it had the least amount of like heavy RNG at the very beginning, right? It was more in later game. Like you spiked later via like Stimmy and like Radiant Armor and stuff in 5.5.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I loved Stimmy. I loved the armories. Like it was just so consistent, and you could really just kind of build the perfect items. And this set's just like, you want some random shit? Here's 3 random options. Good luck. And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
if they're bad options, well, sucks to be you. See you in bot 4.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to take a guess and say that one of set 1 or set 3 was your favorite set, would you say?
Yeah, probably set 3 or 3.5 for sure.
Yeah. As it is with most people.
5 for life.
Yeah.
What if I
That
was...
one was like way too long ago for me to
Yeah.
even remember, to be honest.
Well, okay, 1 is purely good for the nostalgia. If you look
Yeah,
at 1
yeah.
objectively, it is not a good set.
Hey, no,
It's not
the
a good
3
set.
rows instead of the 4, no, that was not
Yeah.
it.
3 rows instead of 4, everything's
Yeah.
like super buggy, like there's so many broken
Yeah.
interactions. Hex Tech, Phantom.
The game has definitely improved a lot
Yeah.
since then. But yeah, the set is still good. It's just my enjoyment of arguments. It's just not there. I'm keen for the next set's theme already.
Yeah, it's interesting because they've suggested that augments are staying around in some form as time goes on.
Yeah, they might. Maybe they'll do something like with the armories, like make it. I don't know. They're gonna do something.
They certainly
See,
are
the
going to do
thing-
something.
The thing that set 6 has taught me, like with augments, the biggest frustration is like all the trait-based augments. I feel like that's like where the key source of frustration comes from.
Yeah.
Not just like I think like the hots and the spatulas are fine. It's the ones that are like Sniper's Nest, Payday, I don't know, loot reserves or whatever, like gold reserves or whatever.
Yeah,
the
all
ones
the
that
garbage.
no, it's not. Okay, it's like good if you play the synergy, and then utter shit if you
If you
don't play the
don't, yeah.
synergy.
And
So
then if
it's
you
like-
play the synergy, it's like, well, I've
Yeah.
got to intentionally make a crap board when
Yeah,
I could just be
yeah.
playing like Yone or Jin.
Yeah. Like I think when you get offered those ones, particularly at 1-4, those games just feel so uphill.
Yeah.
And the thing is that even if you take it and you hit, it doesn't even feel good because you didn't feel like you made any decisions. You're just like, I went for this very obvious vertical thing and I hit. Oh,
Yep.
congrats, nice, I won. So I was like, yeah, what can you do?
It's interesting. As someone that's played a little bit of 6.5, I will say that they have done a relatively good job of addressing a lot of the problems that people have with augments. And that is the serious variance that comes from, oh, I get gold reserves plus, I don't know, 2 other shit ones. You know, like
All reserves, all for 1, Sniper's Nest. Those are your
Yeah.
3-1-4 augments.
Exactly.
I don't know if they're the right tier, but you know, you get the idea.
Chuck a bruiser heart in there or something.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Check out Bruiser Hard.
I certainly feel that a lot of what they've focused on is clearly redefining a lot of the early game, like a lot of the silver augments, because now they actually impact your board in like a reasonable way. Obviously, you said you don't want not many spoilers or anything like that. I will just say like there are augments that give all your units like mana per second, attack speed, you know, things like that.
Ones.
There's certainly
There's
less
less
trait
trait reliant
reliance.
or generic stuff.
Yeah, and it's
more
a lot
generic
more.
stuff.
It's a lot more balanced around board strength, like actually making sure that your board has reasonable, like forward planning, that kind of thing. You're able to work towards having a significant, like, just good board in the early game. You don't go super far behind anything like that.
Well, Riot has like pretty much with every 0.5 set, it's been probably better than the set like the other half before it. I guess they just take out everything that they don't like, and make the final version and make it, I guess, what they really wanted the set to be. But yeah, in my books, every 0.5 set has pretty much been better than the set before it. So I wouldn't be surprised if the next one's better.
That's interesting. Your thoughts on 4.5 actually specifically?
Which one? Was that? That was
4.5.
the Shadow with
Not even
Riven.
4.5 could save set 4, to be honest.
4.5. No. Because my hot take is that set 4 was good. 4.5 actually like 4.5
I
was the
like
one that had
set 4.
Kale.
That's the hottest fucking
4.5
take I've ever had in my
Kale,
entire life.
Olaf, Tryndamere, like
Yeah, no, set
Mira.
4.5 was good. Yeah, that was
4.5 was good. Set 4 was fucking
That was
dog
keep
shit,
it meta.
bro.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I
That's-
mean, I mostly agree with that statement. Like set 3.5 better than set 3. 5.5 definitely better than 5. So I mostly agree with that statement.
God, Sol, I didn't expect you to have such a loose opinion. I can't believe that. Set 4 was awful.
really
I
like
hated
Set 4.
Set 4 so much.
Really?
Oh my
I really
god.
like
What was
Set
the
4.
start of set 4? I can't even remember what it was.
Start of Set
Ash-
4 was you only played
Ash,
Dusk
Riven,
Riven.
Jhin.
Dusk Riven Ash.
It was Riven and Cassiopeia, wasn't it?
Warwick.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Warwick.
Kane and
Yeah.
Zed? Spirit Zed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kane,
Oh, I
Warwick.
Spirit Zed was
loved
broken.
Spirit Zed.
Yeah.
Spirit Zed was bussin'. Spirit
It's so
Ari
fun,
was
though.
a bit broken.
Yeah. Come on, Set 4's better than 455.
No
Yeah.
way.
455 was like, I don't know.
Bro, just for that 2 weeks where every 3 people in the lobby played Warwick, I'm not ranking that set highly at all. I refuse.
Warwick
I
was
refuse.
torture.
Yeah, Warwick is awful. But look, 4 had the most flexible itemization of any set. You can literally build any item in 4. 4 was when like Zeke's Herald and Chalice like slams were good. Like you could like slap
Yeah.
those items. I mean, you can do that 4.5 too, but like you did that 4, like you play like GS on like your
You can do that
carries and
now.
stuff. It's good.
You can do that now. The only reason you couldn't do it was set 5 when they ruined the items for an entire 6
That's true,
months.
that's
That's the only.
Yeah,
You're just
Shadow
forgetting
items.
because there was like a
Yeah,
6.
look,
there was a
Shadow
6
items,
month
I got
break.
like PTSD
where you
from
couldn't
Shadow
play
items.
good
Yeah,
items.
everyone, look. I think TFT players can be pretty divided on most things. I think most players, one thing they can agree on: Shadow items are shit.
Yeah,
The one thing that
Yeah.
unites all TFT players, I think we can all agree Shadow items are shit.
yeah.
And
Radiant
set,
items
and
were
set
lit.
3 was good.
Radio items are lit though. Yeah. Radio items are good. Should have just done that from the start. Would have been great. Mm.
Oh god, I didn't expect that.
That was a good tangent.
That was a good tangent. And I think we can all agree set 3.5 was the best TFT set that's ever been.
We can all agree on that
Yeah,
one. Yeah.
Yeah,
And if
Galaxies
they,
was so good, and
Galaxies
they
was
would remove it all like kind of the bad galaxies by that point as well. Like, oh, what was it? Lilac and
Lilac.
they removed medium legends.
Medium Legends game went for so long.
That's so long.
Little
It's so
Legends,
long.
I loved Little Legends. I was
You like
such an
Little
aggressive
Legends?
player. Yeah, I would just
Yeah.
level up at every interval.
Yeah,
I
everyone just
possibly
full
could.
sent
Yeah.
it on that galaxy. That's what
Yeah.
I remember. Everyone just full sent it.
Be
No one
like
gave a
stage
fuck.
4, and you're like, yeah, I'm top 4.
There was the one where at 2 where is it was the one at 2-1 where everybody got a fawn.
No, but then
yeah.
they fixed it. It was
Yeah.
2-1. Yeah, it was 2-1 in set 3. 3.5. It was 3-1. I think. It went to
3. I remember
Yeah, you
in
got the full one
2-1
later.
there was people that would just level to 5 and have 6 1-star units at
Yeah,
2-1.
and you just
Yeah.
get dumpstered with damage if you have
Yeah,
weak
the
board.
2-1 font was. Oh,
You'd be
no.
20 health at wolves and you'd be like, oh, I guess I lose. That's it.
Was it Lilac? Was the one with the 4 cost?
Full cost,
Yeah.
yeah,
That was my
and you-
favorite
Where you
one.
get Kale.
That was
You
my
get the
favorite
Kale, or
one.
you
I
get
love
like
that
the
one.
Aurelia with the sword or something. and you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, it's done.
No, I
Oh, you get the Fizz.
yeah,
you
me
hit
me
the
Fizz
2-1 mech.
only, baby. I hit mech at 2-1
Oh,
all the time.
Fizz,
You
yeah.
hit the 2-1 mech.
I miss Mech. That was such a good set.
Yeah.
There
That's
was,
part 2 went.
yeah, there were so many good units. I mean, the units were probably overall like all of them were broken, but that's what made it fun.
Yeah. And what was there? That was 4.5 had Rebels as well with the
4.5,
Aurelian Soul
yeah.
spaceship.
Yeah,
three-
Rebels.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
3.5
had
had
Rebels.
Rebels. Yeah.
My first 3-star 5 cost was an Aurelian Soul that
The
got
Aurelian Soul?
one shot by a 3-star Victor before it did anything. Yeah, I was so happy,
Yeah.
and then it went on the board and it was dead in like 0.5 seconds. I was like, yeah, okay.
This is back when they literally did not balance forecasts. Like when just 3-star forecasts were just
Yeah,
literally,
3-star
like,
4 costs would
yeah.
just wipe an
This is when they
entire
did not
board.
balance.
Yeah,
3-star forecasts.
But this
Yeah.
was also the time where they wanted 1-star 5 costs to be really broken as well. Like they really wanted them to like flex and be able to be played on any board. So you just
yeah.
go
You
level
just pick
8,
up a 5 cost and throw it in.
search for Gangplank as quickly as you possibly
Yeah,
could.
just GP1, GA, decap, good to go.
Yep.
Good to go. You can tie boards.
Yep.
Split.
And you get the mercenary buffs in the shop to make it do the double hit.
Yeah. Double
Just
shot.
instant,
and then the
instant clear the
bigger one.
entire enemy board. Yeah.
You get the bigger range to hit the backline. It's boof.
That was the first week of set
Oh,
3,
so
wasn't
good.
it? Where it was like Rebels was super busted, and everyone just went fast 8 into Rebels and with 2-star Gangplank.
Yeah.
Fast AGP. Yeah.
I used to play Red Buff Jinx all the time.
Oh yeah, yeah. She had was it sharpshooters where it would like shoot 4 targets at once?
Yeah.
Blasters.
Blasters, yeah. Yeah, you'd start off
No,
with
rocket-
Lucian red buff, and you just be like, well, I get the free
That's
win
right.
streak.
Yeah, because you'd play 3 cybers and then you'd just fast 8 because that's all you needed.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm pretty
Pretty
sure
much.
you could get Could you get 6 Cyber at level 6? I think you could, right? Because you could just hit Aurelia at level 6.
Yeah, you had to get Aurelia.
In 3.5 you could, yeah.
Oh, because
In
there was Vayne. They didn't have
3 you
Vayne.
couldn't. 3 you couldn't. 3 you needed
Yeah.
Echo.
Oh, yeah,
3
true.
required an Echo, and yeah, 3 like Cybers was a thing, but like it didn't become like
Really good until
dominant
3.5.
until 3.5
Yeah.
when it
Yeah.
when Vayne was introduced. Yeah.
Yeah, the old, what was it, Last Whisper?
Mm.
Was
Last
Last
Whisper,
Whisper, IE, can't remember the third item, was it
no, it's
GA? or
just
something?
anything. GS, BT, it can be anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Last was IE is what you needed.
Yeah,
And
and
then
she
it
would
was
just
Astro
three-hit
Snipers.
everything.
One star Vayne would just one shot
Astro
everything.
Snipers.
So
Teemo
broken.
Snipers was my favorite.
God, Astro Snipers was
Bard?
so much fun.
Oh,
But yeah.
yeah, Bard was so good. Farming meeps in the early game. Oh,
I still maintain that Bard is the most ambitious unit they've ever made. I don't think that
Yeah.
anything that they've tried since has even come close to the ambition
Oh.
that Bard.
Thresh that pulled in the units off the bench was pretty busted.
Yeah, 5-cost Thresh was cool too.
That
yeah.
was cool.
That's we have a lot of
added a
units
lot
like
more
that,
like
yeah.
thought into like what you wanted to keep on your bench in the late game. I really liked that you could like specifically pull in certain things, and then like you would buy something different the next one after to make sure like it gets bought in second with the extra mana.
It's like
Pull
having
in
a
something with
sideboard.
CC, like pull in a Nautilus for the second cast or something, like, or a Blitzcrank, and hook their carry after their Thieves Gloves. Not Thieves Gloves. What's it called again?
QSS.
No, the one that absorbs a spell. I can't remember the name.
Oh, Trapclaw.
Trapclaw, yeah.
Oh, Trapclaw. Back when it was actually Trapclaw.
Yeah.
Back
Wait,
when
is
was
it called
Trapclaw.
something different now?
Yeah, Banshee's Veil.
No, it's
It's
called
an aura.
Banshee's
Banshee's
Claw.
Banshee's Claw. Okay, same thing.
I don't
It's not
read
Trapclaw.
item names.
It's not Trapclaw. That's
Yeah,
all
I
you
got
need
no
to know.
idea.
Yeah. Fun. Good tangent. Reminiscing about set 3. Good times.
That's how exciting set 6 is at the moment. We're talking about set 3.5.
Look, it's got a couple of good comps in the new set. Like I really like all the mutant variants. Like with all the different mutant things. I feel like some of the mutant traits could be removed. But like the Darkstar mutant, like those can be some of the funnest games you have when you hit like a bunch of ZZ rots and stuff, and you've just got a
dummies as
Malzahar
well.
that's like killing everything with one cast. Yeah, the dummies too. Yeah.
Well, now I'm just sad that Darkstar's not in the game anymore. I remember they added Xerath during the set. Do you guys remember that? Like it was like in a patch, they just added a
Really?
unit.
I don't remember this. Really?
It came in the
Okay.
half set, I'm pretty sure, didn't it?
I was sure that
Oh
it just
no
came
no
out.
no! It was in set 3. Seraph
Was
was
in
definitely in
set
set
3.
3.
Yeah, because it didn't start in set 3. It wasn't there on release. It got released
Really?
like
Okay, I didn't know this.
in a
Okay.
I remember they did back then. They used to add stuff in the middle of a set.
Yeah.
They like felt like it wasn't enough, but now they've got like their formula down.
Mm.
Because yeah, I think in set 2 as well, they added in like 3 more champions, and we're like,
yeah.
here you go, here's a couple more.
In one they did that. In one they did that all the time. Anyone remember Pantheon?
Yeah.
Anyone remember Pantheon?
Well, I think they instead of just randomly adding stuff in, that's where they've gone. We'll just make a half set instead.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's better that way, I think. Yeah, you're right. Every half set's been really good, basically. Definitely an improvement on what came before.
Yeah, well, they're just basically taking the stuff they don't like and stuff that people complain about away and replacing it with something fresh. It's probably not too hard of a thing to follow.
Well, they haven't got rid of everything that was complained about.
Is
Cho'Gath's still there.
Cho'Gath's still there. Is
Mort?
Merc still there as well?
Yeah.
Merc is still there, yeah. But Merc got nerfed a lot.
Merc's really
yeah.
bad in set
I'll give
6.
you
that.
We won't talk too much about
Yeah.
6.5 because
Oh, I'll give you too big of a spoiler. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not.
it's worse. It's definitely worse.
I
than what it
I
was.
really just hope it's not like forcible into a loss streak when it comes down to Worlds with like potentially a checkmate format, because that's just going to be pretty shit. Seeing literally like 3 people open fort because they're in the threshold and they're just trying to hit Mercs, like.
It's actually kind of interesting. I think it's more of like on the topic of Merc. Can we actually talk about something set 6 related? I think it's actually an interesting thing where it's actually sort of an inverse effect where, for example, with Fortune, right? If you think back to set 4.5 Worlds, Fortune was actually very heavily played, and Fortune was really, really good. But that was actually part of a consequence of Fortune in set 4 being really, really bad. Fortune was terrible. I don't know if you remember this. Fortune was terrible in set 4.
Yeah.
No one freaking played Fortune. They buffed like the drop tables and the cash outs and everything, and that like made its way, like that's how like it made its way to 4.5. Then people figured out how to play Fortune, and that was actually really, really good. As Merc this time around, like they've kind of just taken where Fortune was at in 4.5, ported that to set 6. It's clearly obvious is way too good. So now it's like almost the opposite effect. Merc was very, very dominant in set 6. I think we'll see in 6.5, like Merc will be in a much, much less dominant state. Where like, they're kind of getting like an idea of like, how much extra gold is, fair and how much is just way too much. Yeah.
Yeah, well, in its current state, like if you high roll a 5 Merc opener, you pretty much win the game.
Oh yeah, for sure.
In like a prismatic lobby or something. But even like the three Merc on 2-1 just into a straight like what 10 loss streak or 8 loss streak, like the cash outs are just insane. Even with like the reduced Nikos and stuff, it's just if you hit too many item components and stuff, or you hit like a couple of item components and a Tahm Kench, and you just put the Tahm Kench on and proceed to farm the entire lobby and the end of stage 3 for like 6
exactly.
items by the next stage. Like it's just too much. It's too free.
Great. Yeah.
A lot of the problem with Merc at the moment is that the drop table is actually really good. Like you don't even have to take like a 10 loss. Like you can cash out at 3-3, be level 7, 50 gold at 3-5, and all of a sudden you just like 8 at 4-1, beat everybody to all the legendaries. You've got 5 more items than everybody else. It's like it snowballs way too much at the moment. So what I liked about Fortune, and I didn't like all that much about it. I liked that if Fortune somehow won before like 11 losses, they didn't win the lobby from that point.
Yeah, they were strong, but they didn't win.
Yeah, they were they were never so strong that you were like, oh, uh-oh. Because the weight of the cash outs and the loot, etc., was very high. It was like, 11 loss is the perfect cash out, unless you're in this stage or you have these items, in which case you want to cash out at 9 loss. But now it's like, I can cash out at 5, get 4 items.
And you know exactly what's in there as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can't catch up with me because now I can pivot quicker than you, and I know what items I have. So realistically, I think that if they're going to do it, they should all in it. It should be one of those things where if you get to that point where you get that special cash out, you deserve it. You deserve to go crazy, but you shouldn't get to go crazy for losing 5 rounds in a row.
Yeah, for sure.
And you shouldn't
5,
change
6 rounds and you just get a free first.
It definitely feels like you're not like. I think one of the problems, right, is that you're not punished enough for you're getting a loss streak griefed. Right now, it's like you're like 4-5 loss streak early, and then you get a grief, and you're like, okay, cool. Take the 20 extra gold, the Mercs, and just play a real board now. Like okay. Traded like.
There's no downside to accidentally winning other than you didn't get more stuff.
Yeah. And the other thing is like, I think the other big thing with Merc is that a lot of the Merc units are actually good. The Fortune units were really bad.
Oh yeah, they were.
The Fortune units were not good.
What was it like? Annie Jinx with the rocket that would stun people, but the bouncers didn't stun in AoE or some shit like that.
And Darius and 3.5 and 4.5. Yeah.
Annie, Sejuani. Can't remember what else there was. Sejuani was good.
Sejuani was good, but Sejuani was also a forecast, so she's allowed to be good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you have, with Merc, it's like you have like MF who's just really good. Like she just does a lot of damage. Like she's just really good.
Yeah.
You have like Quinn who's just good utility. Illaoi is like decent frontline. The only ones that like underwhelmed is GP, but GP was broken at the start. He had to get nerfed a bunch, and then so I mean, part of the issue with Merc, right? Like you're not really punished for actually playing Merc. Your board's like not even that bad. It still goes units.
Well, yeah, like 3-5, you just go 7, roll it down, hit us 2-star MF, throw whatever components you have on it, and then just cash out because she's so strong. Cash out. Yeah.
Exactly.
Cast one out, and just melts the entire front line of the enemy team.
Yeah. Like you would never have that happen with like Jinx or like Darius. Like
they were so like hard to cash out with Fortune.
Yeah, exactly. Like
I died so many times trying to cash out.
You had to use them to cash out. And like you needed items for them, you needed like proper items for them, you needed upgrades. Like it was not that easy.
Yeah. There was. I think Fortune had no damage was its main issue. None of the units in that comp did any bloody damage. Whereas with Mercs, you've got like Quinn utility, you've got GP doing a bit with like if you hit like an Urgot on your level 7 roll down to cash out, like you've got twin shots with Urgot, maybe Chemtech, like it's a very strong, stable board to just add in with 3 mercs on like a 9 loss streak.
Yeah. It's that's the other thing, right? The tags. The tags are insane. You have GP for twin shot if you want to cash out with Urgot. You have Quinn for challenger if you want to cash out with Yone or Fiora.
Yep.
And then you have Emma for Cypher if you want to cash out with Jhin.
Yep.
You can literally cash out around any forecast.
Yeah,
like,
and it's got generic frontline. It's got like
it's
bruises and stuff. Like
bruises. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at least there's no checkmate format for MSI, so it's not going to matter that much. I'm looking forward to seeing some big cash outs, hopefully, for people like trying to claw it back in the last couple of games. But I think people are going to probably try to play a lot more standard games and not play risky, because getting like each extra placement in MSI each day can make impact. And when you go to the next day, your tiebreaker is your final score from the day before. So even if you're all like already guaranteed in, you still want to like get those little extra placements in the next to give you an advantage in the next day.
I like that idea as a way. Oh, sorry, David, you go.
Okay, I mean, I was gonna say, for what it's worth, I think that like as much as we do like to complain, like, oh, you know, these econ traits hurt competitive integrity, blah 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 blah, you know, I mean, they do lead to some of the most hype moments possible. I mean, I particularly remember last set. I remember 5.5 NA regionals when Spencer hit the 5-turn golden egg, used that to go first, and that was and make worlds, and that was like one of the most hype moments. So yeah, I mean, to play devil's advocate, they do lead to some pretty good viewing experience.
Yeah, well, it's definitely fun to play them. Like, don't get me wrong, I love playing mercs.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've talked about this before, but in set 3.5, Kyun's playing Space Pirates, and there's a GP on the 4-3 carousel.
Yes.
He's like 15 health. He needs the GP. The other guy just takes it. He loses. He goes 8th. He misses out on the worlds because of it. That's great. That's so funny.
The flip. Yeah. Lost the 50-50.
He lost the side flip.
I love that you can grief in TFT. It's like one of my favorite things. It's like, it doesn't usually work out for me, but like when you see someone going for an early merc streak and you just full sell your board because you're not going to win other rounds anyway, and then they come up against you and you break their streak on like three losses and you're like, it sucks to be you.
Yeah. Like you're like semi opening with Yordles, and then like you just see 2 merc plays, you'll be like, yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But that Ziggs in the front line, it's like, yeah, good luck.
Yeah. I certainly think that there's ways for them to change the econ fun, get a big cash out, post the highlight on YouTube and on Reddit clip that are not damaging to the competitive scene overall, like Fortune ended up being in 4.5. And that for, I mean, even a short period of time, although we didn't have so many impactful tournaments on it, Mercs has really been a staple of a lot of set 6 tournaments at the moment.
For sure.
And that's not... Sorry. It's how fun is it to watch? I'm not sure. I find it fun. I bet the dude that cashes out on 8 loss has a great time winning the lobby. Yeah. But, I mean... Oh, God, who knows, really, to be honest. I think... I mean... Oh, sorry.
It's probably fine just if checkmate formats didn't exist. Because, like, you can int for a first place in a normal game, like, it's whatever. It's just when checkmate formats exist and, like, the only way for you, or the most consistent way for you to win is just to not even try to play the game, but rather just, like, go straight for mercs. But, I mean, a lot of players don't do it anyway. Like, Chunga, I don't think, did it. Oh, did he do it? He did in one of his games, I'm pretty sure.
He rolled for merc in one of his games, yes.
Yeah. But I think it was the last one. I think it was, like, his second game.
I think it was the last game. He did roll for merc. Yeah. Because
that's what I mean. Like, it just comes down to, like, you're just playing for first, so you're just gonna try to play shit like mercs.
Yeah, why not? It's good fun.
Yeah, but I just don't think it's, like, optimal in a competitive setting.
I think it's just tough, right?
I think I don't know, it's hard. Like, I don't think first place should win the tournament, but that's what they're doing.
Because it's like on one hand, right, checkmate is actually genuinely exciting to watch. Like when you're invested in literally the outcome of like every single game, right?
Yeah.
It is genuinely exciting to watch. But obviously we all know the issues with checkmate. And on the other hand, it's like, let's say checkmate doesn't exist, right? Like the tourney could end and you still have to play a game out because like there are like there's prize money on the line, so placement matters. So you have to play the game out, but you already know who's won the tourney, and that's kind of boring to watch, especially if it's like your worlds. Like could you imagine like play like the last game of worlds and like the victor's already decided, and then you're just like, woo, the commentators just have to like try to make it interesting. Like the
Yeah.
casters have to try to make it interesting for like a whole like 40 minutes. I need to be like, oh yeah, by the way, congratulations to this guy who already secured the first. Yay, he's our world champion.
Yeah, usually what it comes down to is like in that last game, like in a 6-game format, in that last game there will pretty much be a winner, but they have to get like a 5th or higher or something to actually win the tournament.
Right.
And it's usually like neck and neck between 2 people, but it has to be like some obscure situation where like the guy in second has to come first and the guy in first has to come exactly 7th or something. And it's just like as soon as the person in 8th playing their 6th game where they technically can't win loses because they've got no reason to be playing the game, then it's already decided. So
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. Well, still more work needs to be done. It's not easy. It's not an easy problem to fix.
No,
No.
definitely not. But I think 5 and 6 is. You just gotta hope the players like to play the last game, which most of them do. Most do.
Yeah, I'm sure that. I mean, the more games of TFT you play, I think the more chance, let's say chance, the more chance there is that luck will even out. And that's what we talk about quite a lot as well. Like, oh, maybe you had a really bad first couple of games. Well, there's equal chance that the next 3 games are going to be, you're going to have a really good time, you're going to do really well, you're going to get a really strong 1-4 augment, those kind of things. So there's certainly a lot of incentive for those last few games to be like really like interesting, at the end of the day. I think that's a really good thing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely all the games are interesting for sure. Especially when there's like so much on the line for the players themselves. Like everyone wants to go to the next set or the next world, but we've only got 1 slot, so kind of got to put in the work, I guess.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, I think it's time that we move on to sort of the questions aspect. And we've got some really good ones. We've been holding off on a couple of topics that I wanted to save for now. So I think there's going to be some really interesting topics of discussion to have here.
All right. Let's So without further ado, let's do some questions. All right. Cool. So the first question, it's pretty much gonna be directed to you, Takin. What are like the key features that sort of make a TFT tourney sort of fun to organize in particular?
Fun to organize. Like as in, I mean, I enjoy running all of them.
So yeah, I mean, maybe to give you a bit of rope. So it's like, obviously, like people enjoy like playing tourneys, right? And there's like a lot of reasons that people can probably think of as like why they enjoy participating in tourneys. So I guess it's more of like what are the particular sort of what makes it I guess fulfilling. I would say actually, what's particularly like fulfilling about organizing, like running the admin side rather than being on the competing side. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to compete, but obviously can't at the moment because I'm running it. But yeah, like in set 3 when regionals wasn't very good, like I competed in set 3 regionals, and was just kind of really sad about how it turned out. And I didn't want players to like kind of have to go through it again because like I was a part of it and I was like, damn, this sucks. Like having to play in lobbies with people in random normal games and stuff, like it was not lit. So yeah, I want the players to, I guess, enjoy playing. So I guess their enjoyment of it makes it better for me. That's my fulfillment for it, I guess. Like the only reason I do it is because there's like a scene there that wants to play competitively. Like if people didn't show up and didn't want to play these tournaments, I wouldn't run them. But there's so many people there that want to compete, and I want us to win worlds. Like I want to build a format that gets the best player in OCE in that set at that time to worlds to win. Typically, we've fallen short in the checkmate format at the end, but that's why I've incorporated it into our current series to give our players a taste of it. So when they get to worlds, we can get higher than 5th.
Oh yeah,
Fascinating.
awesome. No, that's so good to hear. I mean, I guess that's why you're a legend, right? That's really why you're a legend.
I
That's
just want to
why-
win worlds.
I mean, yeah, no, that's so. I think that's like so. I think that's so cool, and I can really, really respect that. Yeah, I don't know what else to say other than that. Like, yeah, that's really, really cool. Moving on. Let's go with. All right. So yeah, let me just quickly fully read it. Okay, cool. So it's sort of like somewhat related to like spectator mode. So are there any features that we'd like built into the client, also known as sort of replays, backseat mode comes to mind, that would make it better for the viewing experience?
Custom lobbies and spectator mode in the live client. We have spectator mode on Tournament Realms, which we
Yeah.
are using for this MSI, so we will have spectator mode. The spectator mode is still very bare bones. All it does is show the players like view and stuff. Like you can't see anything else really, which is fine. But it's just I don't know. Like I want it to be on live servers. Like when I'm running Friday Fiesta, I would love to be able to like cast that and just hop into a lobby and just bring it up between games. Like at the community as a whole as well. Like when people are casting their own tournaments, especially in OCE, for example, without like notoriously bad internet, it can be hard to find players to be able to stream the games for you. Like, fair enough, in like NA, they can just get anyone to pop on with a good internet connection, but out here, like in the sticks, we can't do that. So,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, being able to have one person just go in and just be able to cast the entire game would be such a good thing for the competitive scene, because all these small tournaments would all of a sudden start having casting. Basically, you get a lot more talent onto the scene. The more talent's on the scene, the bigger the scene's growing. The more the game's being viewed on Twitch, the bigger the game's getting. Like the custom lobbies and spectator mode would just it would increase TFT as a whole, viewership, player base. It would increase everything. We need it.
I like the risk of like sounding I don't know, a little foolish, because I feel like we've already mentioned it multiple times at the stream. In regards to like sort of custom lobbies, because I mean this is more coming from me, like me than like anyone else. Just sort of my understanding of it, because like when we were sort of talking about like custom lobbies, right? How do you sort of distinguish that between what we currently have, where like you sort of open up the game, and then you have to you put a lobby of like you have to invite the people and everything. That's like 8 people, right? So like, what would be like the key distinctive sort of differences of like custom lobby compared to like right now? I don't know if that's like a
Just really
that question makes
basic
sense.
stuff like
Yeah.
creating the lobby. Like even just lobby creation. So like the way it works on live now, for example, if I wanted to create a lobby, I've got to invite every player. I've then got to
Yep.
tell one other player to invite X person, and then I've got to leave, and then I've got to try to communicate with that player and be like, okay, is he in? Is your lobby ready? You can start now. A custom lobby would just be me like sitting in like the little spectator slot. I would just invite everyone, click OK, and then I can just sit there and wait till them all there. And then I can
Right.
message people and be like, hey, where are you? Where are you? I'm not relying on communication between players and me to figure out who's missing from what lobby. It would just be a lot easier if I could set things up in custom lobbies in a big list or something, because then I can create. We've already done it on the tournament servers. If you can do it on live now. I only just realized this, but when you want to invite a player, you can actually just put a comma between each player's name, and you can invite 7 players at once.
Oh, okay. I didn't know this either.
Yeah, I didn't know this. So we
Yeah,
figured
yeah.
out we can just get the bot when it prints out the lobby list from the spreadsheets. We can just have it automatically have the commas there. So I'll literally just be able to copy and paste into these lobbies, and I could set up like a 20 lobby tournament in like 5 minutes, and just have all these invites pending. I'd be able to pop into them. It would just make managing everything a lot easier. That's like that benefits me, I guess, not really the players. But everyone else that's running tournaments, it also benefits them. So
I mean, as someone who has played in, some of the open, in and open qualifiers, planning on playing more of them, it definitely will. It definitely like I can definitely see how like it would greatly help just the whole getting into lobbies, right? Like I've had games where like people in the wrong lobby, for example, and it's like really
yeah,
confusing. And then I think there's like it was like one situation where like someone's name was different
yep,
than the name that was displayed like on the Discord lobby. So I'm like, okay, is this guy meant to be in the lobby? Are we good to start?
yeah,
And so yeah. I mean, it definitely helps that. Funny enough, I mean, we all come from card games. It almost reminds me of when the round pairings go up and everyone is just awkwardly shuffling around this convention
yeah,
hall looking for the right table.
yeah. Or if they don't have table numbers, you're like, who's
Yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
person? Yeah,
Yeah. Except,
yeah,
we're playing a digital video game,
yeah,
we should
yeah.
probably be above that.
Because if I had like lobbies A to F or something set up in custom lobbies, and I could just post the thing in Discord and say, you're in this lobby, it's going to be so much easier for people to just open the custom lobby section and go, cool, there's my lobby, enter. Like,
For sure.
yeah, it would just be easier. Hopefully they do it.
Yeah, hell yeah. All right. Yeah, sounds good. Next one. I quite like this one personally as well. So, yeah. So really curious to see what you think about this question. So most players tend to watch tourneys through the perspective of like their streams instead of the main broadcast, right? For example, like a lot of people watch the stream through like Soju's perspective or like Hyun's perspective, rather than actually watching like the sort of official Riot broadcast. Why do you like? I think this one sort of explains itself, but why do you think this is, and what can we, is this a problem? What can we do to sort of improve this? Yeah, kind of like that kind of question,
Okay.
I guess.
I don't think it's really a problem per se. Like, people want to watch their favorite player. Like, that's seems completely fair to me. Uh, the only way like Riot could do it, I guess, rather than having a main broadcast, is if they broadcasted everyone's POV. But it's not really much benefit. You may as well just let the
Yeah.
players do it. I prefer to watch the broadcast just because of the casters for the most part. Just kind of breaking down the action. Like, I don't know. Like, I prefer to watch the broadcast. It's like it's what I do. So the people that do watch the individual streamers, like, I understand why they want to do it. They want to see like their favorite streamer win or their friend win, etc., which is completely fine. I've got nothing against it.
Yeah.
Which is why like we don't care if people stream their own POV, and we encourage it most of the time. And like we ask them to put the banners and stuff on their streams anyway, so it still benefits us. So not that we have sponsors, but maybe we will. Who knows? Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's much of a problem really. Like, people just want to watch their favorite streamer, which is completely fine.
Yeah. I think that like the interesting part of this question sort of is that like it almost feels and the thing is, I don't know how much like the higher ups at like at like the other divisions really like care too much about like I don't know how much they care about Twitch numbers for starters. Like I don't know if like if they see that like one of our games has like 60K viewers whenever we run tourneys, we're gonna give them more funding. I have zero clue on how that actually works, right? But I think it is interesting that like especially a lot of the bigger TFT tourneys, so like like NA regionals comes to mind, where the official broadcast might only have like 9 or like 8K viewers, but then there's like 20,000 people watching Soju. There's like 10,000 people watching Kiyun. Like the actual like amount of people actually watching the tourneys like probably easily in like the high like 80, 90K, even maybe like the early 100Ks, right? But the official broadcast only says it's like 9K viewers. I think that's kind of interesting in that like the viewership for TFT is probably actually like quite big because everyone's watching it through like the POVs of different streamers, right? People look like higher ups who sort of don't really know much about the community or anything like that might just look at the numbers and be like, oh, it's not that big, it's not doing that well. We've only got like 8K or so people watching like our biggest tourneys or like things like that. So that's sort of my 2 cents. But yeah.
Well, like, so we get a similar thing, right? So we obviously have Keen. So Keen, when he's live, usually sits around like 2,000 to 3,000 viewers. So when we're doing our tournaments, like Challenger Series, for example, Keen's still pretty much sitting at around that. And then we're sitting at, I think we had like 500-600. Probably less, maybe, I don't know. But when we're doing like when we're giving them the stream package to put on their stream and stuff, we're also asking them to like share with us their viewership numbers and things like that. So those stats that are on those channels, they're still counted as our stats.
Right,
Because
okay.
they've still got our sponsorships and whatnot on screen. Like again, not like we have any, but it still says like order and whatnot.
Yeah, okay.
So for like trying to get sponsorships and stuff, those stats count for us. So
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
yeah, so those keen stats really kind of pad our numbers a lot. So that's kind of where
Yeah.
we're trying to get more. So like
Right,
we've
right.
really got our two biggest streamers is just Keen and Escher. Everyone else usually sits like kind of around a couple of hundreds and stuff for other players, but Keen and Escher pull ahead of the pack a lot for OCE.
Sure, for sure.
So yeah, having their stats still count for us is really good for us. It's really good for us.
Yeah, I mean that's so interesting to me. I actually didn't even know it worked like that. So I guess like the answer to this question is that yeah, streaming PvE is good.
Yeah,
Keep
yeah,
it
pretty
going.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
PvE is
like,
good. Keep
I think
going.
the only one they shouldn't do it for is probably like Worlds, because there should be a main broadcast of that, and that should always be developed and whatnot. So I think Worlds being just the main broadcast is probably how that should be.
Yeah. I mean, well, if it weren't for COVID, Worlds would be like live. It would be like a LAN kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
well,
yeah,
it
like
was meant to be last set, so
yeah, exactly. So
yeah.
yeah.
I was hoping Riot would fly me to China, but I don't think it was going to happen.
All right. Okay, we got another one. So, what's your favorite sort of most memorable TFT sort of tournament moment in OCE? Your sort of time running events, watching tourneys, yeah.
It's probably the most recent World, I would reckon. Like it was looking really good for Escher. I thought he was gonna make it. I thought he was gonna be our winner.
Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of didn't work out in the last. Like I think pretty much the last game. If he could have gone first, then he could have. I think he was above the threshold. But it was just kind of an unlucky game for him. But yeah, that whole series was really good. I was just sitting there cheering Escher on the whole time, pretty much. But yeah, I've seen a lot of tournaments, so it's hard to remember most of them.
No, I remember that one quite well. Like there was the failed Karma 3 game into
Yeah,
the
it was tragic.
into the Vel'Koz game where he high rolled opener, but then everyone high rolled that game.
Yeah.
Then it was just brutal. Yeah. That was good.
Yeah. Well, I'm really hoping this time around, we can hopefully win. I'm hoping for a top 4 finish at least, but yeah, it's looking good. We've got a lot of really good players that are in MSI this time around, so hopefully they'll translate to better players and of the same players in regional finals.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just as
I think that's
yeah.
I feel like we've covered a lot this evening, guys. I think
So yeah.
that's been an absolutely brilliant podcast episode, and I want to first start off by immensely thanking Tycoon for coming on and talking about his experience running tournaments, working on events, what it's like setting up tournaments in Oceania, and a little bit about what we can expect from the future. So Tycoon, thank you so much for joining us this evening. That's been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been fun.
And I will not let us get out of here until we get a final word from my beloved co-host, and that's Sol. Sol, thank you very much for joining me this evening, as always.
To be here as always. Keep saying that, but yeah, it really is so fun to be here every time we are.
Wonderful. All right, guys. Well, let's start. First of all, we'll finish off. Tycoon, where can people find you if they're looking for you?
Oh well, I have a tournament Discord that people are welcome to join if they would like to compete in tournaments. Only on the OCE server, but anyone is welcome to play. I've got a Discord link. Is that enough?
Yeah, that'll do. That's perfectly
fine.
Yeah. I mean, I've got Twitter and Twitch and stuff, but I'm not really a content creator. So if people need me for tournaments, feel free to reach out in DMs. But yeah, for the most part, just join the Tawny Discord and get around the casual action there, and then join the Order Discord for more competitive stuff.
Yeah, wonderful. And finally, Sol, everybody by now should know, but if you're a new listener, where can people find you?
Stream on Twitch, Sol_TFT. That's all you'll find me. I'm slowly trying to get a schedule actually pat down. So looking at consistently streaming Friday and Saturday nights around like usually like kind of late-ish hours around like 9 o'clock 9 p.m. that's Sydney time onwards. So yeah, that's where you guys can find me.
Yeah, understandable.
All right.
And I'm glad that you're coming up with a nice little schedule. It's going to be great.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
guys.
We'll see if I
well,
actually stick to it.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure that you
Yeah.
will. Guys, the number one thing that I want to say before we go is thank you very much for listening. We have been the Roll Down Podcast. So that's from myself, Cutler, from Soul, and from Tycoon. Thank you very much for listening. And we will see you next time. Bye for now.
Hey, everyone.
Bye.